Hey there, folks. Back again with another league match. This time against Coltorti, who is 1460, playing as USSR. Apologies for how quiet the mic has been on previous occasions. I'll do my best to speak louder and fairer. So not a bad starting hand here as USA. Shame I got CIA, but that's life. I'll keep Captured Nazi Scientist for the headline, I reckon. The alternative's Duck and Cover, but that's fearing a coup of Italy as much as anything, and I can dump 4 in there. Let me just do the traditional message. The old 60-minute L clock. Oh, I cannot type toffee this evening. So 442. So yeah, Capture Nazi Scientist for the headline. Indo-Pak War if he moves in and doesn't protect. NATO's my big coup card if he goes for Iran. So yeah, all in all, not a bad hand. Obviously, I want to move into Malaysia so I can play Vietnam Revolt at the end of the turn, and try and take Thailand. This is a double header. I'm going straight into another game afterwards. So anyway, CNS for the headline. He's starting with de Gaulle. Interesting, because we know he hasn't got duck and cover. So I expect he will potentially see the error of his ways. Because if he tries to take France, I mean, he can do it with the China card, he can take Spain, Portugal as well, and then I'm realigning at 3-2, which isn't as good, but it's still preferable to doing anything else with Defcon of 5, I reckon. Or he'll make a coup, and that'll be an error, because I can then take France with NATO. Although that does give him Iran and Pakistan, so it's a good thing I have Indo-Pakistani war, etc. So let's see what he does with AR1. Okay, so he's going to take France, I guess. Yep, so now I just realign. The key question is how many realigns do I want? I don't want to use my 4-op card, but then I really want to make sure it happens. So I'll realign with 3 and hope for the best. This is where the 4th realignment would have really helped, I imagine. Oh, there we go, that's fine. And then I've got 1 speculative realign somewhere else. No change, that's fine. So that's fine for me. He should now try and coup Italy. And then, of course, I play into France. A fine scenario for me is a poor coup of Italy, giving me flexibility to move elsewhere. But we'll see. So hopefully he's learned a lesson there about not playing de Gaulle on turn 1 headline without duck and cover. I could be a gambler with Indo-Pakistani war in my hand. I could, in theory, try and take it. Okay, so that's clever. But the obvious response is 3 into France and 1 to level up country count. which kind of forces him to coup Italy if he wants to make something of Europe. It's a shame he used Suez, really, because that's his, that's a lot of his bargaining power with France now de Gaulle's gone. So I expect to see a coup of Italy if he's really worried about Europe, or he'll push into Asia if he's got Asia scoring. I kind of want to race DEFCON down because if he takes Iraq or Pakistan, he can then try and realign me out of Iran, which would kind of not be great. And I don't have a lot of decent DEFCON targets, of course, which is a little annoying. So let's see what he does here. He's keeping DEFCON high, which is very interesting. A bold move for USSR. What I might want to do is put one in Lebanon to threaten Middle East, even though I don't hold a scoring card. So straight after this, I am playing Andrei Sion. And once again, I'm US, so this is the old US masterclass, at least, I hope. Obviously, my win record as US is a lot weaker than USSR. So take that with a pinch of salt. But I hope to be learning. So, okay, he's continuing to push. Okay, so the obvious thing to do here is overprotect and then coup to drop DEFCON. So that's probably fine. And now I'll just use CIA to coup Iraq and drop DEFCON. If he's got Europe scoring, then bully. Well done him for 1 BP. But I don't want him to start realigning or coupping Italy. So it's defensive as much as anything. We get CIA back in the stack, which is good. Hopefully he'll get dealt it in the turn 3 reshuffle. That would be ideal. If he coups Iran now, I coup it back with duck and cover and hope for the best. And I still try and push into Thailand. Swifty. If he doesn't play Europe scoring... Oh, good. Okay, well, it's a good thing I held on to duck and cover. I'm obviously happy to chuck that. The blockade. It's a lot better than refusing to release it. Right, so I'll discard that. And I'll take another coup. I'm not necessarily happy about taking all those coups, but I want to get DEFCON down to push into Malaysia and Thailand. So we'll see what he does with his next AR. I may want to pop one in Turkey to get domination in Europe, and one into Malaysia, and then finish with 2 into Vietnam revolts. That means that obviously he can... And what he might do is coup Iran. I kind of want him to bring DEFCON down to 2, because with DEFCON at 4 and I've used duck and cover, he could just coup Thailand. So maybe what I need is a change of tack. And, I mean, it sucks to space Vietnam revolt, because it puts it back in his hand. But I also, unless he coups Iran now, my best move is not to push into Southeast Asia, fearing a coup of Thailand on the next turn. I just help him develop in there, although of course we've not seen decoy or D-style. So let's see what he does next. It was kind of weird discarding one of my own cards to blockade, but yeah, without socialist governments or Comic-Con or any of those. Okay, so he uses the China card. So now I do have some interest. So I'll use Indo-Pakistani war to put 2 into Malaysia, and then I'll use Vietnam Revolt to put 2 in Thailand. He now doesn't have the China card, which makes his Thailand coup a little weaker. And then if he does coup, then I just have to suck it up and start trying to race on country count. Nuclear test ban's yet to come out, so... Okay, so Asia scoring comes out now. That's good for me. Nevertheless, I'm going to have to put both in Thailand. And I get the Milops at least. So Asia scoring went in 1. It's a shame about Europe, but then socialist governments is yet to come out, and that could compromise me. IPW in 1. And I've used Vietnam Revolts, so that's gone. Despite Asia scoring coming out, if I'm going to use Vietnam Revolts, I can't just let him walk into Thailand, so that'll have to do. So I'm looking to get 1 in Turkey. Oh, good. So I got Europe scoring, which is a bonus, and I got socialist governments, which is also a bonus. What is my best headline, though? Middle East scoring. I would expect him to see NASA drop. But Middle East scoring is the best of the bunch here. If I can get a free chance at eventing and aligning Fidel, fine. Arab-Israeli war, I just need to make sure I've shored up Lebanon and Jordan beforehand. East European and West doesn't give me domination right now, but I need to try and push for it at some point. DEFCON's at 4. No way of dropping DEFCON. So yeah, Middle East scoring is probably my best bet. Okay, so he's fighting for Europe country count. Let's hope for his sake he doesn't have independent Reds. And that bags me another 4 points, which is a bonus. So I'd expect him to coup Thailand here. Panama would be better, really. Thailand seems like the obvious thing since DEFCON's never always that high. And then it just becomes a matter of country counting for me. He may give me Formosa. Obviously, it only takes 2 ops for me to regain country count with Turkey and Canada. So I could do that with Fidel at some point. But let's see what his AR1 action is. Rather than do too much second guessing. He may well be hold a decon. So he does Formosa, so that gives me an opportunity. He does go Thailand and fails. So that gives me an opportunity to pop 3 in Taiwan to defend against Korean War as well. The question is whether or not I give him another coup. And I don't think I do. It's kind of gross because I want to be pressuring him, but I also don't want to give him the middle ops, and I don't have a way of getting the Indo-Pak war out. So the question is which card I coup with. A coup on Iraq with Fidel is probably as good as any. And it fails, but Fidel's out, and now that's a DEFCON suicide target. Here, at some point I expect to see decolonization. He's seen CIA go, so he should push into Africa if he gets the chance. I'm going to have to play or space Arab-Israeli war this turn. But first I'll try and pressure country count in Europe. I want to put 3 in Taiwan. And then ideally 4 in South Korea using Japan, which makes it a 6 target for the Korean War. Kind of want to get the 3 in Taiwan sooner rather than later, just in case he decides to event at a 50-50. So there's decol, as expected. So, obviously I need to shore up. Oh, he didn't go Thailand. I wasn't looking at the screen. he's basically giving me an attractive target with Algeria. I'm not fussed about it just yet, actually. I think what I want to do is gain Europe and take Lebanon before he does, and then that also helps me shore up against Arab-Israeli war later. So yeah, I mean, I kind of need to get into Algeria sooner rather than later. Africa's definitely a risk as things stand. With Asia scoring gone, it's not so bad, but I do need to now give him a hard time in Europe. He may try breaking Turkey or taking Yugoslavia. Hopefully independent Reds can cause some trouble there. So we'll see. If he's worried about Europe, he'll go straight to break it. If he thinks I'm bluffing, he might try and consolidate Asia, Africa, maybe even take Iraq to level up there. He's basically got to decide, am I bluffing on Europe, or do I really have the goods? But with US, Japan as well, I can wreak a fair bit of havoc. Okay, so he's using RSP, and he'll use it to, yeah, take Czechoslovakia. So he's fighting on country count. So now I need to decide how much of a fight I want. If I play into Yugoslavia, he can Warsaw pack me out later on. But if I take Benelux and put one in Yugoslavia, it's fairly easy for him to respond to right now anyway. And I'm running out of neutral cards. So the question is, can I cause more trouble elsewhere? So I guess, I don't know, I kind of feel like I can't, but I also now don't have impetus, I suppose. I suppose I want to push into Egypt before Nasser, and also to help defend against Arab-Israeli war if I'm going to play it for ops, which means spacing socialist governments. So I could put 2 in Algeria and 2 in Egypt, or I could put 1 in Jordan and 2 in Egypt and try and threaten a lot more of the Middle East. I may be able to get him on the back foot if he plays independent Reds later on, although if he plays independent Reds, he then just puts 2 in Yugoslavia to level it up. So maybe I can't get Europe at domination as things stand. Unless I was to pump all 3 into Spain, Portugal. But then what am I going to play with afterwards? I don't have a response to his response, because socialist governments, he just takes out Turkey and Canada if he wants to frig with country count. And Arab-Israeli war is still too attractive at 1/3. So that levels up Asia as things stand, although of course he just takes South Korea or India. So the question is, do I give him a chance to do something else and I just space right now, which is another option? No, I think I need to consolidate my position. I want to take Egypt before Nasser. I'm going to push into Jordan to threaten Saudi, and I'm going to take Panama up a notch. That doesn't help with Africa. It probably isn't ideal. Let me know what you think. He may take his foot on the gas in Europe, though. He may play independent Reds and go somewhere else, thinking, oh, he's blowing hot and cold. But yeah, I just didn't see a way of consolidating domination there. quickly, as it were. So he spaces Indy Reds. So I will ditch European scoring for the 1. So I'm really hoping Asia scoring does not come back out in turn 3. In an ideal world. I can play Arab-Israeli war, and I've got a free op somewhere else, which probably is Libya, to defend against Nasser and Oraku of Egypt. Okay, so Korean War's gone. For now. I'm gonna leave Libya hanging, which I know is a coup target. And it's a 1 anyway. So my options are either space socialist governments or see what he does and see what free ops I have to play with if I reshuffle. But obviously Suez Crisis is still in the deck. So I've got to be relatively circumspect. And if there's a juicy brush war target, so I kind of want to see NATO get evented. Or I have to take Austria to try and improve the odds. But let's see what his AR6 is. Of course, my other option is I can take South Korea and Thailand with the China card, but that cancels Formosa. And of course it gives him the China card back. So I may want to keep my powder dry on that. So let's see what his AR6 is anyway. He's ditching something. Okay, so he continues to level country counts up. Truman? Yeah. Sneaky play. So I'll take the one out of Austria. So my options are either space socialist governments or play it. I kind of want to get ahead in the space race, so I think I'm just going to space it and give him no AR6 crisis. Cool, at least I get space 2. I get Asia scoring, which is advantageous. And let's play what have I got and what does he know I have. So 5-year plan went into Truman Doctrine left the deck. And a nice space socialist. So I hold UN intervention and he knows I do. Special relationship, he doesn't know. Asia scoring, he doesn't know. NORAD, he doesn't know. Olympic Games, he does know. Containment, he knows. Defectors, he knows. He knows I hold D-Style. So he is holding nuclear test ban and the Cambridge 5, which he may play on turn 1 and I want to stop him. He's got NASA and Comecon, so he may also play NASA. NASA and Comecon, not Arab-Israeli war. Alright, so we know he's got Comecon, NASA, nuclear test ban and the Cambridge 5. I want to deny the Cambridge 5 and purge. So even though he knows I have defectors, I want to deny him causing me trouble. And I think I prefer that to containment. So let's go defectors. Yeah, good. A nice denial, as expected. So that went in 3. That went in 3. Oh, that one. Alright, so he's got NASA. He may coup Libya first. Let's see. I've got some ops, so I can take Taiwan and make him fight for Asia. And in the absence of a better play, I can take Japan and South Korea. So he starts with the NTB coup, as expected. Coups Iran. So I'll reclaim domination there to keep him under pressure. And then it's a question of what else I do. I mean, the fact he can walk into India makes my life difficult. But at some point I need to make a stand on Asia, because we know it's going to score this turn. The question is whether is Formosa any help at all? Because realistically, I guess what I need to do is just pump South Korea and then cover Japan. In which case I could be doing other stuff in, especially the Middle East. I can spread some stuff around. That doesn't do anything. I was just double checking what the situation was with. Because if he tries flipping NASA, no, okay. So I guess at the moment, I don't want to spend as many ops. So let's keep him under pressure in the Middle East, and I'll hold fire on Asia for now. I guess I want to surprise him later in the thing by pumping South Korea and then putting the extra one in Thailand to cover it, because hopefully he won't have enough ops to respond in India and we can break it 50-50. But I don't see myself leveraging Formosa, basically, because even if I take Taiwan and Japan, and of course I have to spend ops to take Japan unless he plays US-Japan for me, he can still take South Korea and India to be 4-3 up, and with 8 countries, so he'll have domination there anyway. It kind of sucks to hand the China card back, but I just don't see a better leverage for making it 3-3 on country count. At least if I use the China card on South Korea and cover Thailand, it's then 3 ops for Japan, and I break even. Alright, so he's got NASA. So my option in the Middle East now is just to take Saudi. Because Muslim revolution, it makes Egypt unattractive. So that looks pretty good right now, and it continues to misdirect, which I quite like. Although it's only 2 ops for him to level up country count. But then I can put 3 in Israel, and it's still overprotected. So let's keep bluffing for now that I am interested in the Middle East. We know he's got Comic-Con, and then we're out of ideas. So we know he's got a 3 op card. Of course, the problem with South Korea is if I pump it, and then he's got the Korean War, it'll be 0-7 in no time. So I do still want to be doing it later in the round, although there comes a point where I'm out of time. I think to some extent I have to take that gamble. And just take Japan post-haste. But then if I'm doing that, I suppose I put 3 into South Korea and make it 4-2. So there goes Comecom. Okay, well, he's made that decision for me. So now is the best thing to do country count. Maybe it's not. Asia is problematic, shall we say. Because he's already got 7 countries to my 4. If I flip Laos and flip Indonesia, I can get to 6. But then he just needs to take India or Burma. But I do have to be competitive there, which is the other issue. In the meantime, I'm going to take Israel to keep pressing the Middle East. How long am I whistling in the wind, guys? That's the question. So then my 4, 5, and 6 write themselves. Flip Laos, flip Indonesia. Hope to break even. At least I retain the China cards. But it's a shame of the scoring cards that came out. It was Asia and not the Middle East. It only cost 1 op for him to take Iran as well, so that's not an efficient use of 3 ops for me, really. But once Camp David's come and gone, and Sudan, it does help shuffle up the Middle East a bit. What's Asia going to score? 6, so he'll be going into the mid-war sitting pretty. Time to see what other cards he has, though. He's going to get the mill ops as well, so he'll be marginally in the lead, with Africa a threat. But not a bad start to the mid-war, early war, leading into mid-war. And he's right around pace. 60 minutes is fine. He's only taken 20 for the first bit of the war. I don't know. We'll see time-wise. It's better to linger in the early war. I think set your stall. You may never make the late war, of course. The other option is I resign myself to Asia domination, space D-style, and retain UN intervention. I don't see that as a lot better. What I do first is containment flip Laos and see how he responds to that. So he's got Arab-Israeli war again. He takes Iran, it's all level. That's fine, can't do a lot about that. Let's flip Laos. If he doesn't overprotect Indonesia, my next stop is Burma. If he takes Burma, I take Indonesia and just hope he hasn't got a 3-op card. Well, or just breaks one of my... I don't know. It's a bit of a fool's errand, but we will see. I mean, if I get lucky in denied domination, it makes a big difference. So, here is to hoping. So he is spacing. That's kind of good for me. So I don't have much to lose here, but try and flip it. Whoa, hello. Back up. And let's hope he's got a scoring card. Like I said, he gets the mill-ops anyway. So he's doing all right. The downside if Middle East scoring doesn't come out is obviously he can do a lot of damage with Muslim Revolution. But at least Arab-Israeli war went in 3. We won't see that in the shuffle. Just turn a light on in here. Now it's autumn. Now I can actually see what cards I'm ticking off. Well, given he's dwelling, he doesn't have a scoring card. So the question is, what mischief can he wreak? He needs a 4-op card to get domination in Asia by breaking 2 of my countries, which isn't very efficient. So I think I might have dodged a bullet on Asia. My major concern is brush war on Italy, because he will get domination. It's not scored. It's one of those ludicrous situations where if I get dealt it next turn, it's almost worth headlining to protect Europe. Because if he flips it at 50-50, he gets domination. That's a massive swing, scoring 2 or 3 times in the rest of the game. There might be one of the perverse occasions where eventing NATO is not a bad idea to specifically protect Italy from realignment from brush war. I'm lucky Thailand's kind of controlled too. But the obvious brush war targets are Panama and Libya. If he leads with that headline next turn, obviously he saw defectors go in 3, so he knows his cards are safer. Taking half an hour over his early war is a little ropier, given the 1 hour clock, but like I say, you want to set your stall up right. That goes for everyone. I mean, what does he want to do? If he wants to get fancy, he should probably break Thailand, anticipating a scoring card, and then he can just walk into it next turn. Okay, so he gives me US-Japan. That's no bad thing. Oh, there's no point in looking at what I've done on my turn yet. Where did the rest go? Sudan, Zaire. Sudan. So he's also claiming... Yeah, so Africa scoring is bad for me now. But Asia scoring is less bad. So Asia scoring went in 3. I get Middle Eastern scoring and Muslim Revolution, which is great. Bear Trap seems like a good start. Although the old Purge Bear Trap combination is a pleasure too. Colonial Rear Guards defends against the Africa scoring headline. And Missouri allows me to pump Asia. That is not a bad mid-war hand for me. I can't help with Brush War, which is a bummer. So, the question is, do I want the coup? In which case I bear trap, but that runs the risk of him being able to snatch Africa scoring. That's 7. Do I play Colonial Rearguards, deny him Africa? He gets the coup, but later on in the game I can bear trap and or purge him. Or can I hold purge to the next turn, bear trap him on AR7, which then means I'm spacing Muslim Rev. Missile Envy kind of sucks here, obviously. I have to hand him purge or Muslim Rev, and it would be purge, given I've got Middle East scoring. So do I purge him now? If I purge him now and he gets Africa scoring, I look like a mug because I could have used Colonial Rearguards. If I don't purge him and he missile embers me, he leaves me in between a rock and a hard place. The advantage of purge is I can bear trap him middle of the hand and then cause some trouble in the Middle East. So that would be an advantage to purging, especially if he missile embers me and I lose presence in the Middle East. And then the option, if I purge and bear trap him and he gets stuck in over the turn, I can salt AR7 to get purged back as well, which would suck. He thought for quite a while, so I think he doesn't have Africa scoring. So I am going to purge him and try and trap him later. So he quags me. Muslim Revolution, first thing to go in that. With Quagmire gone and NORAD back in the deck, at least I can event it later on. So let's see what his coup is. Panama seems like the obvious choice. Obviously my quag is Muslim Rev. And then I start working backwards. Nixon, arms. If I'm unfortunate enough to be stuck in for multiple ARs, which is definitely possible. So I expect to see a coup of Panama here to start. There's no reason he'd necessarily expect me to be holding Middle Eastern scoring as yet. But he may break Thailand if he's got Southeast Asia scoring, knowing that I don't have an AR to respond. Okay, so he's asked for Muslim Rev as well, which I have to give him, and then I have to use Missile Envy. That's quite neatly done by him. Especially as I have Middle East scoring. It also means it softens me up. He'll take Saudi and Libya, I suppose. To some extent, Saudi and Jordan's better. Worse for Arab-Israeli war. And means I can't walk straight back in Saudi. But either way, not a bad move. He was obviously worried about we will bury you, which is sensible. Got to be Missile Envy. Be lucky. That's fine. Okay, so he should now take Libya. Although he'll be giving me the coup if he does that. Interesting. If he coups Panama, I take Libya and put one in Saudi. If he takes Libya, I can try coupping it. Although I kind of want to make a head start on Africa. Panama. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So he gets the Milops again this turn. I really don't read him for Africa scoring. So that's optimal given I hold Middle East scoring and I Colonial Rearguard later in the turn. So he's used 2 3-op cards so far. It's all about picking the optimal time with Bear Trap Purge. 3 or 4 ARs, he starts to run down his high 3-op card usage, and that's when you sting him. So I kind of want Colonial Rearguards to come once he's in the trap if he fails, because then I can flip more of Africa. I could get fancy as well. Ah. Okay, so we've been spoiled. And we know that he's stuck. I mean, that's another reason, and actually it's foolish of me not to consider those options. I hope he's been dealt CI in the redeal. Yeah, it's a bummer for him. Stuck with a 2-op and a 1-op card. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got to play one of the 2 of them. So I guess he's stuck. He'll just have to play out the turn. It's a bummer, and it's a curse of being Russian to some extent. Late war, it's the US at risk, but mid-war it's all USSR risk with DEFCON. Of course, he has crapped the bed because I was going to bear trap him. So that's that, guys. Log back on for the second in the doubleheader, which will start at 8:30 my time, but you don't need to know that because you're on YouTube and it's all time, every time. I'll stay and talk to Coltorti here for a little while, but I'll log off now and you can save the chit chat. See you soon.